Most forwards would have given up at this point, but Jimenez was on one, and he comes in and slides from behind and actually gets the ball and digs it out to Huerta, who is at the penalty spot with it. Now, Miles Robinson, just block this, slow him down. He doesn't have much time. Don't dive in, or dive in and just get skinned and scored on. Well, the Mauricio Pochettino era started off well with a 2-0 win, and then he followed it up with a 2-0 loss against Mexico, which was very underwhelming. So let's break down what happened in this game. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. So one of the big areas of context around this game is that some of the U.S. players, namely Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie, were sent home before they could play Mexico after they were around for the Panama game. Losing Christian Pulisic is a pretty big deal, and he's probably the one player Mexico fear in this U.S. team. The rest, they definitely felt like they could bully. So Pochettino got a lot of flack for letting these guys go home for load management reasons, I guess, and he paid the price for it. So although it was a rosy start to his tenure, he's immediately under a little bit of scrutiny already. All right, so Mexico played a 4-2-3-1 formation and basically mirrored the U.S. in a lot of ways. Of course, what we talked about last time in the tactical video on Panama was that Robinson gets forward, it forms a back three. Ream, Robinson, and Scally make that line up, and then you got Morris and Busio in the middle. Musa once again deployed on the right, Aronson in the middle, Sargent up front, and this time you had Tillman take the spot of Christian Pulisic. The other Robinson is Miles, who got the start because Mark McKenzie was not fit, and he did not have a very good night. The big difference between the Panama game and the Mexico game is that Mexico brought a lot more intensity, they pressed hard, and they made the U.S. look really bad in possession. And here's just a string of examples of that. So building out against Panama was easy because they pressed poorly. Mexico, on the other hand, it was a lot more coordinated. First of all, Raul Jimenez, he was all over the place, chasing balls down, forcing the U.S. players to get rid of it quickly. So here, Tim Ream gives the ball out wide to Anthony Robinson. Mexico immediately go towards it and press. And you can't even see anyone in your picture that he could be trying to play this ball to. But he plays it anyway, and it's a terrible, terrible turnover. And Anthony Robinson struggled just like everybody else. I mean, here they have a throw in, it goes into Aiden Morris, he turns it over, and then is able to sort of get away with a foul here. Busio recycles the play, goes to Tim Ream, he goes out to Robinson, and just watch this, it's just strange. First of all, his options aren't great. You've got Busio and Morris kind of tucked into the middle, they're square, they're right next to each other, so they aren't options. And Aronson is basically running into an area where he's cut off. So Anthony Robinson just dribbles right into pressure and loses the ball. And this was happening all over. Here, Robinson takes a free kick. He plays it into Malik Tillman. He takes a look back and plays a ball to Scally. Now, the pitch was terrible, but Joe Scally, come on. Look, there's going to be some teething problems with Pochettino's system. One thing he really likes to do is have players play a ball in, like this is going to come into Busio from Scally, and then a one-touch ball out wide to break a press. The problem is if people are not coordinated, like Yunus Musa here, he just took a run and went flying up the line, and so Busio's pass just goes out of play. You can see Musa there standing there like, I was trying to go in behind. Now, I said the pitch was bad, but also you have to do well at taking care of the ball under pressure. Here, Ream plays the ball into Aronson, and his touch just goes way up in the air. Really poor control. He gets lucky in the end that Mexico turned it over and that Busio is able to win it. And now there's actually a really good chance to transition and counterattack. But the quality of this pass from Aronson is so bad, and it just goes straight out of play. Here's another example of Ream playing a ball into Aronson, and he just loses it. He gets it caught under his feet, and immediately look at the pressure he is under. Mexico did this all night. They played with a very high level of intensity, and they just made the U.S. look like they could not keep the ball. Aronson there gets himself robbed, and then Tim Ream comes in, makes the tackle, and when he tries to play it to Lund, he just touches it straight out of play. And speaking of uncoordinated and nervous, here is the lead up to Mexico's first goal. Now, I know it was a free kick, but prior to that, the U.S. have possession, and Scally, he just already looks a little bit nervous. So he plays the ball back to Matt Turner, who's immediately pressured by Raul Jimenez, because that's what you should do with Matt Turner. Put him under pressure because he's not great with his feet. So he settles the ball, and watch this. He does like a little shimmy because he's a little nervous, gets it out of his feet to Robinson. He also looks like, oh God, I don't know what to do. I can't play Busio. He's marked. I'll just go out to Scally. Scally looks up. No obvious option for him either. So he freaks out a little bit, turns his back on the ball, gets it out of his feet. Robinson's like, you know what? I have had enough of this. I'm clearing it. Not a bad decision, but it's a poor clearance. It's right into the middle of the field. Mexico win it, and then three players, check this out. First it's Robinson, then it's Aronson, and then it's Morris. All take a bite, none win the ball, and they end up fouling. And then the end result is Raul Jimenez doing this, something no one really thought he had in his locker. I mean, that is insanely good. I'm sorry, Turner had no chance of saving this, but come on, guys. I mean, the preamble to this was terrible. Now, it's not just that the United States didn't bring the right intensity, they also just were so far from savvy in any way. Here's Aiden Morris doing something very, very strange. So the US have a free kick, he sets the ball down, and yes, there's a player standing in front of him. As long as he doesn't move, Morris can just play the ball anywhere, and if he tries to intercept it, yes, that's a yellow card. But if he's just standing there, you do not just kick the ball into him. Look at what Morris does. And now he's complaining, everyone's standing around, and Mexico are like, sweet, let's go. Morris gets nutmegged, takes down Huerta, and it's a free kick for Mexico. I just think that's naive from Aiden Morris. You have to know the rules in that sense as a professional player, and I know that those can feel a little murky because they've changed over time, but you can't do that. You can't just kick the ball into someone and then start to complain. You do that in a World Cup match and get scored on, that's a very bad look. And that wasn't it for Aiden Morris. Here he is again turning the ball over in a really bad area. It's so obvious what he wants to do with the ball. He takes a look and check it out. Raul Jimenez reads it. And so Aiden Morris does not really check to see where the runners are. He could actually do a half turn and go out the other way right here if he had looked. But his ball is not very good and Raul Jimenez steals it and Mexico end up getting a shot. Once again, that issue of that one-touch ball. Here the ball is going to come to Ream, and when it gets to Lund, you're going to see he's going to try that one-touch ball around the corner to break the Mexican press, but again, he just dumps it to nobody. Just like, what is this? I guess that it's a ball up in the air to Tillman. For him to do what? Flick it on to somebody, but it doesn't go to him. It's in between him and Sargent. It's taken, and once again, the U.S. surrender possession to Mexico. All right, the second goal, Chino Huerta. Love his hair. It's fantastic. But once again, it's a series of turnovers. First, it's going to be from Scally. So he's going to get the ball here, looks up, and tries to play a deep ball. I'm not really entirely sure what Sargent is supposed to do with this, but in the end, Busio runs and he's able to pick up the second one. So now Busio is going to start running forward with the ball, and check out how utterly weak he is in this moment. I mean, this is not the hardest tackle by Luis Romo, but it sends Busio right on his ass, and Romo gets away with the ball. Now, keep in mind, when the U.S. played that ball forward from Scally, there were 4 guys back behind the halfway line, but after it went forward, they all charged up, and you can actually see Scally next to Huerta in your picture here, which means what? Well, the U.S. have left themselves in a 2v2 situation, and Ream is now scrambling back to the ball to try and find Raul Jimenez. It goes to him, and this is actually pretty decent defending by Ream. He recovers well. He's making Matt Turner's job easier with every step. He does get cut by Raul Jimenez right there, but he does well to just be stronger than him and get the ball. Now, most forwards would have given up at this point, but Jimenez was on one, and he comes in and slides from behind and actually gets the ball and digs it out to Huerta, who is at the penalty spot with it. Now, Miles Robinson, just block this, slow him down. He doesn't have much time. Don't dive in, or dive in and just get skinned and scored on. The problem for the U.S. was just losing the ball a ton. And here's Robinson just going ahead and saying, well, I don't really know what to do, because Morris and Busio started to fade more and more as the game went on. So if you're going to do a long ball, do a good one. Not that, not right into the middle of the field. Mexico won all of these aerial duels. They get that one as well. Now it's Turner's turn to do the exact same thing. He plays it into Busio, he gets it back, and he just does not really know what to do because he's got pressure. Turner here just puts it out of his feet. It almost actually gets blocked into his own net right here. I mean, that's just way too close for comfort. And he smashes it out low on the ground, and Mexico easily get the ball back. Here's another example of Turner being poor again. So Robinson plays the ball back to him, and once again, Raul Jimenez just keeps on running. Instead of slowing down and being like, well, he's just going to pass around me, it's go to him because he might do something weird. And his first touch here gets a little bit away from him. He's got to chase it. And now that he's been looked at the ball, he doesn't really know what his best options are. So it's probably Tim Ream. Yep, go to him. Well, no, not a good idea because Tim Ream is immediately under pressure as well. So he then tries to go into Lund, but his pass is off and Mexico pick it off again. And the final clip, Christopher Lund getting the US's only actually good chance. I mean, Brandon Vasquez did get a shot later on, but this is pretty much it. And Lund really did not do very well with this. First part of this clip, Ream goes out to Tanner Tessman, and I really like Tanner Tessman, actually. I think he would have been a better option from the start than maybe Morris or Busio. He's really talented and covers a lot of ground, and he's a big guy, so hey, I'd like to see more of him personally. But he played the ball here to Zendejas and keeps his run going, and Mexico were very, very, very overloaded on this side. Zendejas does well to check back, looks, and sees Lund on the opposite side, and there is nothing but green space in front of him, so it's gotta be a good ball. Zendejas picks him out perfectly, and I mean, come on, just put this on target, and most likely, like 90% chance, you score. Instead, just goes like out for a goal kick harmlessly. So personnel is a big issue for the United States. There just is not a lot of depth. Mexico showed what you can do to the US when you just run at them, and that's pretty concerning. So look, the US lose 2-0 to Mexico. It's not the end of the world. They didn't have their best team, sure, and Mexico really came out to play, but there is just not that much time before the World Cup. There aren't a lot of meaningful matches, and so to kind of look at this Mexico game as a throwaway really doesn't help your case. Mexico took it seriously. They came out. They gave the US a 2-0. We'll see in the next window if they can correct things and get things better, but as I said, there are not enough high-pressure games between now and the World Cup for Pochettino to just try new things out all the time. He's got to find a settled system and a settled team sooner than later. So thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the breakdown. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.